Tyson Fury reached the pinnacle of boxing in 2015 when he defeated long-reigning champion Vladimir Klitschko. This was the goal he had aimed at for the entirety of his career, and when asked by his conditioning trainer what he'd do when he won, he simply said,
"Probably be depressed for a long time."
Well, call him Mystic Mac, because he was right. He went on a booze and cocaine-filled depression rampage for the next 18 months. He ballooned up to 400 pounds, and he was on the brink of suicide. But after reaching the lowest of lows, and not even being able to communicate what he was going through, because after all, he was the heavyweight champion of the world, the baddest man on the planet, with the money, the legacy, the fame, who would understand that he was going through it? Well, after that, he came back. He started training again. He dropped the weight. He had a few warm-up fights, and then he took on one of the scariest heavyweights in recent memory. Deontay Wilder was 40-0 with 39 knockouts. He had sent nearly 100% of his opponents into the shadow realm. And here was Tyson Fury, looking to hand this monster the first loss of his career. And after months of all the experts saying Fury was done, after not being able to run more than 200 meters, Tyson Fury outboxed Deontay Wilder. He was dominating him on his way to the bell, and after a very scary knockdown at the very end of the fight, which reminded everyone that Deontay Wilder is deadly at any moment, the fight was scored a draw, the second decision in the career of Deontay Wilder. But this draw was mostly due to boxing being corrupt. No one who watched the fight would consider it a draw. Glorious comeback from the brink of death to the pinnacle of boxing once again. Tyson Fury had overcome his hardest battle to date, and it wasn't Deontay Wilder. He had overcome his mental health issues and gotten back on the saddle. But there was some controversy, so they ran it back. And this time, there was no controversy. Tyson Fury boxed the brakes off of Deontay Wilder until his corner threw in the towel. From there, Deontay exercised his rematch clause and they competed once again in October 2021. This time, Tyson Fury stopped Deontay Wilder in the 11th round, cementing his legacy as the baddest heavyweight boxer on the planet. Boxing is just what Tyson Fury does. His true purpose is to raise awareness for mental health, and he's been able to do that from his position as the heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson Fury once said, "My anxiety was terrible. I believe anxiety is one of the worst things that anybody could have. It's the fear of the unknown. It's crazy." He was also talking about how he doesn't really fear death, how he doesn't fear any man, but he was going through all these crazy things in his brain, and it pretty much brought him back to being a scared child. He was terrified. And he says, "One of the best things I ever did was come out and speak about it, because with communication, you can get over any hurdle." One of the main issues with mental health is people think that they aren't able to talk to anyone about it. They feel alone. They feel that no one could understand it. And I understand that. Even though there's tens of millions of us out there who struggle with mental health, you can still feel completely isolated. As Tyson Fury explains what his life was like as he went into his depression spiral.
I was driving home one day and I had a very massive anxiety attack. One of the worstest feelings I've ever felt in my life. I felt like I was dying, I was having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe properly. I felt like everybody was against me. I felt like all my friends had set me up, even my wife. I felt she was involved in it. The physical symptoms of the panic attack. I felt like I was having a heart attack, like I said before. I didn't know what was happening. I felt pains in my chest. I was near on going blind. I was calling out to God to forgive me for my sins. No one could be more certain of death than me that day. I ain't afraid of nothing. When you lose control of your own mind, you're in a bad place. I was looking out the curtains. I was waiting for someone to come into me.
I can tell you, a panic attack is a terrible thing. And Tyson Fury got out of his funk after seeing himself in the mirror at a Halloween party with a bunch of young kids partying and getting on. He realized this isn't the life he wanted to live. And he prayed and prayed, and he told his wife he was going to make a comeback. She didn't believe him. She had heard it thousands of times before, but this time, he meant it. He started running, and he realized he was in garbage shape. After 18 months of abusing his body with alcohol, garbage food, and cocaine, he was a fat blob. But he kept on. He faced his demons, and he overcame the worst of his mental health battles. But how did he do it?
Well, I believe there's a balance in life and it's a straight line. Normal people are straight like that and they might dip a little bit and come straight back up. People who suffer with mental health problems, their graph is like that. So how I manage mine is, I give myself goals. I need to train on a daily basis. If I don't train for 2 days, I feel totally depressed.
So now when you say train, is it just boxing training or just exercise?
Exercising. Whether it's jogging, whether it's riding a bike, whether it's going for a walk, anything. You need to stimulate the mind. And I think training is a perfect way to do it. Working out, exercising. Whether you can do a lot or a little, you must do something. I give myself short-term goals and long-term goals. And I plan things more now. Where if I'm just not got anything on the horizon, I tend to wander and my mind goes AWOL. But when I've got something on planned and I've got things going and I want to do this, this and this, even if it doesn't have to be big things, it can be small, tiny goals what mean something to you as a person, as an individual, then that's what you need to do. That works for me, but what works for me might not work for the next person. But I'm very, very sure that working out and having a routine in your life is the answer for mental health problems. Set yourself some goals, think positive, and crack on, do a bit of training. I now know the secret for me, and everybody's will be different. But if I train every day and I'm staying in shape, then I'll be happy forever. Look around yourself and be thankful for what you do have today. Don't look for what you don't have. You know, you got to be happy with who you are. And a wise man once said, you got to know yourself before you can know anybody else.
And so with the simple trick of working on his body, having some goals, and being open about this, Tyson was able to overcome his greatest opponent. The battle for your mental health and freedom is going to be different for everyone. Some people will get over it with therapy, some people with psychedelics, some people with medication. Pretty much we're going to have to find what works for you. And I like the idea of having goals and having something to work towards every day. Having and finding some purpose in your life to put your effort into. This is something that can keep us on the right path and keep depression and anxiety at bay. The heavyweight champion, Tyson Fury, says this is the hardest thing that he's gone through. It's going to be something that you may struggle with your entire life, but it's something that you can overcome, something that you can stay on top of. It's something that you can use and transmute into an advantage and into your greatest strength.